do I even begin with this book? American Psycho was published by Bret Easton Ellis in 1991, but it takes place in the 1980s, and it is centered around Patrick Bateman. Investment broker by day, serial killer by night, I think. So before I get too in-depth about what the novel is about, let's get into why it was banned. So from the get-go, this book had controversy. It was initially supposed to be published by Simon & Schuster, but the female employees protested this book for its quite aggressive depictions of rape, murder of women, and the company backed out due to aesthetic differences. And so it had to be picked up by Vintage Books, and it was published. Once released, it was then banned, but not technically banned, in Australia for intense occurrences of explicit violence and sex throughout the book, which is 100% accurate. So while technically not banned, it was sold in shrink wrap and marked specifically so that only people over 18 could buy it. Kind of like porn. Which, to be fair, parts of this book are. So in case you've never heard of this book or seen the movie, which is a very good adaptation, let's dive into this a bit more. Patrick Bateman is, like I said earlier, a very rich investment broker living in the 1980s, New York. And while the author is very obviously trying to convey how shallow people can be and how awful consumerism is, it also plays very well into the fact that Patrick is a very unreliable narrator and probably has schizophrenia. While he's interacting with people, there's almost a sense of unreality and disconnection. Everyone is just very obsessive about material things, and there's this constant theme throughout the book where people are always getting people's names wrong, getting them confused with other people. They're just constantly recognizing them as someone else and calling them by the wrong name. So it's all very confusing. Like, the main character, Patrick, gets confused for someone else multiple times throughout this book, which he uses to his advantage. But, yeah, so there's just this disconnect in this book that feels very surreal, but also at the same time, you could see this happening in real life. 100%. Everyone's very obsessed with, dinner reservations and the status that the dinner reservations of at a certain place will bring them. That got very tedious and annoying with this book. Patrick will say things to people, the book, as you're reading it, he says it out loud to the person, but you're never quite sure if he actually says it out loud, because the person he says it to either just does not hear him at all, ignores him, or thinks he says something else. So their reply back to him is something completely different that doesn't make sense to what he said. There's this great moment in the book and in the movie where he says, this lady he's out with asks him what he does, and he says he's into murder and executions, and she says, I have a friend who's into it's something in acquisitions, and he says he doesn't like it. And it's such a good moment because you could see where she misheard him, But at the same time, you're like, but did he actually say murder and executions out loud? Or was he just thinking that in his head because he's not right up there, you know? Like, this book plays, and the movie too, but plays on that so well. It's done very well. So at night, Patrick goes on killing sprees. Homeless people, prostitutes, and dogs. Not cool. If you're an animal lover, you will have a hard time with this book. I'm not gonna lie. Because I definitely did. And then there's just whole chapters where he goes into great detail and depth about his morning care routine. Or the band Genesis. Or Huey Lewis and the News. And it's literally just whole chapters about his thoughts on Whitney Houston and her career. Or the Huey Lewis and the News' albums, just in great detail, all of their albums and his thoughts and feelings on them. And then the next chapter, he's literally hiring escorts, having sex with them in very great detail, and then killing them. Like, this book is so polarizing. I don't even know how to properly describe it. I found myself wondering, why am I continuing to read this book? But at times, enjoying this book so much, and I find myself fascinated and wondering what's going to come next. And I think that's why as a reader you have to appreciate this book. It's so wonderfully written, and I can't even quite tell you how or why. But Bret Easton Ellis does such a marvelous job of keeping you there page after page. Just fascinated with this horrible, empty, vain character. And I don't even know how or why. But I don't know. Honestly, I think it's mostly just because you're so enthralled to see what he's going to do next. That, I think maybe that's what it is. You're just so on edge the entire book. Because he's so calm and methodical and meticulous. Meticulous? That's not a word. He's just so, OCD about every little thing in his life, and he's so well thought out about the way he talks about the things he loves. But then when he kills people, it's so messy and out of control, and it's just so you just don't know what's gonna happen next. And I think that's just, I don't know, I think that's just what keeps you hanging on. I don't know. Because it's so unbelievably graphic that at times I was like, I don't even want to keep reading this. Why am I still reading this? But then I kept reading it. I don't know why. I don't want to give too many spoilers away about what happens in the book, but I would definitely understand if someone could not get through this, because like I said, even at times I struggled with things that happened. So if nothing else, I would definitely recommend watching the movie. It's a great adaptation. It stays really close, true to the book. And Christian Bale's performance, Oscar worthy. Oh my God. It's incredible. Woo. So while I can see why people would have a problem with this book, this is different from most books I've talked about. And definitely would, I don't know if I would classify this as horror. I don't know. I don't know. And while it's definitely different from all the books I've talked about and will talk about this week That's for sure. It doesn't fit. Although, I mean, it's incredibly xenophobic and homophobic and sexist. Like, wow, that was another reason I had a hard time reading this. It wasn't just the unbelievably graphic, detailed sex scenes and murder scenes and pet killing scenes. It was unbelievably problematic in that way too. Wow. But yeah. But anyway, it's been challenged in schools over the years. But yeah, this is very much an adult novel. You should be 18 if you're reading this. So yeah, this should not be in schools. I wholeheartedly believe that and support that. The minors should not be reading this. But if this is a case where they're trying to ban it from a country, I don't believe that. Like, I mean, there were protests around the world before this book came out. This book sparked a lot of controversy. But yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, if it's an adult wanting to read something, that's their business. They're an adult. Don't try and ban people from reading a book if they're an adult. It's their decision. I mean, there are serial killers out in the world right now. It's not like releasing a book is going to spark some new serial killer trend. So, it's not, should not be a concern with this book. Should not have been. Oh my God, there were so many serial killers active in the 70s and 80s. Holy crap. It's not like this book was going to make things worse, people. Come on. So, yeah. But yeah, this was not like a big challenge one in schools. I mean, you'll find it on banned book lists occasionally throughout the years. But, I mean, especially like in Ireland, they tried to just ban it from the whole country. So, yeah. But, I mean, like I said, if it's an adult wanting to read a book, come on. If you can go by porn and stuff, what right do you have to tell someone they can't read a work of fiction? Alright, you guys, that was American Psycho. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what a final thought on that book would be. If nothing else, I would highly recommend go watch the movie. The movie is excellent. It stays true to the book without the just over gratuitous murder, sex, animal killing. The one part in the movie with the animal killing where the ATM's like, feed me a kitten. Like, that actually made me laugh. I don't know why. And then he doesn't. So, like, it's okay. It's cool. But yeah, that was funny to me. But yeah, so, alright. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read the book and or seen the movie and what your thoughts on them are. Yeah, let me know if you enjoyed them or absolutely hated it. Because I would completely understand if you absolutely hated this book. Because I don't really even know if I can tell you if I have a firm thought for this book. So, yeah. Alright, I love you guys. I will see you for our final banned book day tomorrow. Yay! Alright, I love you guys.